Hello, this is Aaron Mean of SG Gaming Info, and welcome to my first impression of Bless Online. Now, I know this game came out a while ago, but I've been busy with work, so I haven't had a chance to talk about it. And I just want to say the footage you're seeing on screen is actually pre-recorded footage I did from the first day of the early access on May 28th. So before talking about the game, I just want to talk about the game's developer. The game is developed and published by Neowiz Games from South Korea. The company's last really big experience I could find was that they worked with EA to jointly develop EA Sports FIFA Online, which was a free-to-play FIFA game for the Asian market. In regard to Bless Online, this is not the first release. The game was originally released in South Korea as a closed beta game in 2014, and later the game entered open beta in South Korea in August 2017. There was a Japanese closed beta which ran from April 2017 until October 2017, and the game was brought to Russia in an open beta version from December 2016 until May 2017, although this version was shut down because it failed to attract enough attention. And now we have the Western release, or the Steam release as you might say. As I said earlier, the was released early on May 28th and it entered early access on May 30th. The reason why I say released early on May 28th was those who bought the Founders Pack, there was 3 variants of, could play 2 days earlier. So speaking of the Founder Packs, there was the Standard, which was $40, Deluxe, which was $70, and Collectors, which was $150. I must say I actually went and bought the game. I bought the deluxe edition, which was $70, because it gave you some Lumera and additional skins. And I also have to say, after playing the game for a bit, I refunded it. This is the first game I've ever refunded on Steam, and as this first impression goes on, you will most likely find out why I decided to refund this game. So let's skip on a bit from this character creation. To skip through here, it's very much, actually I'm going to mention a bit, it's very much a typical South Korean MMO character creation with a lot of sliders, a lot of customization, which is always good, but sometimes a bit over the top. But I suppose some people like it. So one of the big defining factors of Bless Online is large-scale PvP. You can have up to 100 v 100 battles, and PvP is always on. There's no PvE servers, as you could say, but there is the option to temporarily turn off PvP via in-game items. And the game's combat system is tab target, which is something I really want to talk about now because this brings up a major issue with the game. So we're in game now. It's a tab target game. It's very much your traditional MMORPG, so it's not like a lot of new ones where it's action focused. And this combat system works as I'm just reading my notes at the moment. Combat, as I said, combat is tab target, but there's an emphasis on combo attacks, as we shall see here. So for some reason, I got confused with some of the systems here. Oh, this is actually something I really important to bring up. So, as I said on the side, element blending tactics combat poison in an empty slot, and in non-combat chain skill tab add element emission. Now, believe me when I say this scene goes on for a while. And because what is this? Just let me go back a bit. So I'm over Kindle, and I'm in Flame Tactic. But there's one called Mixed Tactic A. It's like, what's that? Well, apparently it was the element blending tactics. It also says equip is spelled wrong, which is another issue. So as you can see, I'm just probably gonna understand what I'm saying. There is translation issues. This important training about the stances and non-chain skills is poorly explained. I actually had to check the subreddit to see if this was just me. It's like, am I an idiot? Like, I know dyslexic, I have some problems reading and grammar. I thought I was going crazy. Turns out, no, I wasn't the only one. People were having this issue, and it blew my mind. This is your introduction to the game, and this probably was the start of what's like, why am I playing this game? It is mind-numbing at points, some of the issues were. Now, this was the only time I could really find an in-your-face spelling error that really destroyed me. But imagine if you came across this game, you pay $70 for it, and you find out that the tutorial is really poorly explained. I'd say you have equippy, I presume meant to be equipped. If you go to the Steam store and you scroll down through the description and it talks about the various classes you can play, Paladin is spelt wrong. Speaking of which, there are 7 classes: Guardian, Berserker, Mage, Paladin, and Ranger. Although they say 7 classes, there's only 5 mentioned on the list. Oh, that's why. Because there's 5 for the early access release, and 2 more will be released after it exits early access and goes into full release. Speaking of the classes, I should mention the factions and the races. There are 2 factions, Huron and Union, which each faction having 4 races. Huron have Habacht, Sylvan Elves, and Lupus. Habacht is the human. I'm probably saying that completely wrong. Sylvan Elf are elves, and the Lupus are a large beast-like humanoid race. The Union have Amistad, Aqua Elf, and Pantera. Amistad is human, Aqua Elf is elf, and Pantera is another beast-like humanoid. I said there are 4 races, but I only mentioned 3 each. Well, that's because there is another race called the Mescu, which are a small humanoid beast race, and they're neutral, and they can be on either faction, which is a nice touch, if I don't say so myself. So what else is there to say about it? Well, as I said, there's 100v100 PvP battles, and that means the game is very PvP focused. If you're here as a PvE player, you might not get the best of times. I'm really trying to think of the good things to say about this game, because I love MMOs. Hey, I finally found out how to do one of them after God knows how long. I love MMOs. So ever since I played RuneScape for the first time, I have always loved it. Hey, it took me, how long did that take? It took me all 2 minutes. Actually, yeah, that's way too long, 2 minutes. So I just punched the microphone there. And here's the combat. So you press 1, and there, as soon as you initiate your first attack, there's a wheel there of R, T, and I believe it was Y. And that's base reaction skill, so if I want to attack, press R. Next one. And each chain attack in the... So you press the 1 button and you're given 3 options, and it can be different each time you're leveling up. You can press 1, which is magic shot, or you press 2, which is fireball, and that fireball can go into an AoE spell, which could be an instant cast AoE spell, then followed by a cast one. It's very interesting, and it helps diversify the combat, which is something I really like. And it's horrible that everything else about this game is terrible. If it was just the combat, if we just had this combat and everything else was fine, I would love Bless Online. I really would. But so much about this game is destroyed by stupid issues that the developer created. Not just translation, but the fact that it's very heavily focused on PvP, which is not my forte, and the economy is very much taken away from the player. Neowiz Games controls the auction house, so they control the pricing, so there's no real great way to control the market and make money. Why would they do that? I do not know. Hopefully they change that. the crafting and gathering, I played for a good few hours. Did not know how the crafting system works, was not really introduced to it. Gathering, very much normal, but although I think this is very much like Guild Wars 2, when you use your gathering tools, it will break after a certain number of uses. Also, I did notice when trying to find nodes, they're not on your minimap, they're just in front of you. I remember the tutorial gathering quest had you find iron and I believe wheat. I could not find wheat for the life of me. And I ended up finding it by just randomly clicking on gathering nodes. I was like, wow, I finally got it. That took way too long. Why is this so bad? The game also suffers from terrible frame rates. If you were reading the chat in the game I was playing there, people were complaining, oh, I have a 1080 Ti or a 1080. I'm getting terrible FPS. I have a 1070 and an i7, relatively recent i7 CPU. I was getting terrible frame rates in any location that had a lot of people in it, be it players or NPCs. It drove me crazy. The game also had freezing issues. When the game launched, you were lucky to get past the loading screen. It was just insane. I am getting more frustrated as I can hear my voice, but that's what it was. It was frustrating. And then there was issues with resolutions. I was trying to get to 1080p. It took several attempts to get the game to run in 1080p. Then it took several attempts to record the game with OBS. It was a nightmare. I just can't get over it. It was a game with potential, and yet it decided to shoot itself in the foot multiple times. Also, as hear the English voiceover, it sounds like they just got some South Korean voice actors speaking English, because you can hear that kind of Asian twang in the English. So I was a bit weird, but you got used to that. Right, I got used to that very quickly. So yeah, Bless Online is a game with a lot of potential that they decided to shoot themselves in the foot with. Now let's actually skip ahead to some later content, shall we? I said later content. Get some content outside of the game. As you can see the lag. Just want to get out of the starting zone. Okay, yeah, here we are. Beginning to leave the starting zone. You're basically in the starting zone for like nearly an hour, which is ridiculous. It teaches you how to use a mount, and you get to go on a wyvern. And I think the game. Yeah, you see, there was a long gap there between opening the companion menu. Sorry for clicking the fingers there. Speaking of the companionship, there is a tame system. I completely forgot to mention this until now. But say if you find a fox or a large creature that's like, ooh, that looks very cute, I want as a pet. You can tame it. And that's fascinating. That's a really good feature. It's one of the better features alongside the combat system. Like the combat system's as I was saying, combat system is tab target, but its combo system makes it very much more interesting. There's so much things I like about this game. As you can see here on screen, the frame rate is just dropping, just doing terrible. It's horrible. The story, I didn't really get. I think, if I remember the faction I'm with, you're trying to help instigate a rebellion, and it's done really poorly. I thought it was done really poorly, but who might say I'm not the best, but I love story, and I said, yeah, interesting, not really. Although, it's very difficult to find an MMO with a good story attached to it. I think for me, Final Fantasy XIV is one of the rare exceptions that have a really good single player story attached to it. For the life of me, I don't know why people play the game. I guess they have had rollout patches since the early access on the 28th. So hopefully they've made some changes and improvements. But when I first played this game, I was just, why? See, this area I'm in now looks beautiful, but frame rate drops terribly. And there's an element skills that is not really well explained. I didn't know what that does at all. So yay, explanations. Look at the frame rate. I actually lower this game down so much, and yet all I had was completely continuous issues, and it's just horrible. This game was painful to play, and it's painful to talk about, because when I saw this game, I was like, oh, this looks like it could be fun. I really hope it is. I love MMORPGs. I actually resubscribed to World of Warcraft recently, and I'm beginning to rediscover why I like it. Hey, look, there's a boat. There's a guy sitting on a horse, but he's actually standing above it. I don't know if you can see it here, but my character's supposed to be holding what they call them, the rails to control the horse, but they're not. He's just holding something invisible. There's so many minor issues that become big issues, like translations. I mean, I'm going back to what I was saying earlier. That introduction to the combat about the mounting and using your combos is done so poorly. I hope they have that fixed now. I really do. As if they don't, if anyone buys the game, it's like, no, turn off and refund. And that's what I did with this game. I refunded it. As I said at the top of this first impression, this is the first game I ever refunded. And I'm unapologetic about that. As well, I should be. This game should not be worth the minimum, I think $40 it is. This game has frame rate issues. Games like Terra have these frame rate issues in the capital cities, and they're free to play, which makes... And I'm less strict on that because, well, Terra is a free to play game. But Bless Online, this game had so much potential. I don't know, maybe in the future when it leaves early access it might go free to play, I don't know. Probably the only way I'll actually get back to this game. But yeah, not many good things to say about Bless Online. I'll definitely say give this game a pass, although I will say if in the future maybe go back to this game, because the tab target combat system and the tame system are brilliant, and it's horrible that everything else just destroys it. As you can see there in the chat, the giraffe saying there's no trade. Yeah, you can trade with other players, so yay. So yeah, as you can tell from that sigh, I can't think of anything else to say about Blessed Online. So I will say thank you very much for watching this first impression of Bless Online. If you're one of those who have made a decision already or enjoy it, well, I hope you are enjoying it. If you here looking to see what my impression of the game is before buying it, don't buy it yet, please. Save yourself the money. So yeah, once again, thank you very much for watching. And this has been Aaron Mean of SG Gaming Info saying thank you very much for watching. But before I exit this video, or stop this video, I want to obviously talk about social media. So you can find me on Twitter at SG Gaming Info. We have a Facebook page which is SG Gaming Info, and of course I have a location where I do my written content, which is sggaminginfo.com. So thank you very much for watching again, and this has been Aaron Mean of SG Gaming Info saying goodbye. And thank you for watching.